Thanks for tuning in today, guys. What we are going to be doing is I've had several requests on the procedures about the FrogLube. During my tabletops when I buy new firearms, I will do the alcohol bath, and then I mentioned that from there it's a good platform for me to start with FrogLube in my firearms. So this is a brand new gun that I literally just came back from the store with. I'll be, there's going to be a video up on that, which I will annotate it at the end, where you can just click on the screen and watch that review if you haven't seen it. We're going to go ahead and frog lube this and get this started. And I will just go over how I do the frog lube process. So you don't have to start with a brand new gun. But you will want to follow these steps as far as degreasing this gun. As we all know, a lot of these guns are coming heavily oiled from the factory. So I usually will just start with any kind of container that I have. I'm just going to place the gun in there. And what I normally do, now you don't have to do this if you don't want, but I find it helps a lot. I just use rubbing alcohol here, and I give it an alcohol bath. I will let this set for 30 minutes or so just to let it soak. And I'm telling you, it does. It draws a lot of dirt out of this gun. You think being brand new that the guns would be clean, and that's just not the case at all. So what you could do if you didn't want to do the alcohol bath is you could just get a little container and put some rubbing alcohol in it, or any kind of degreaser, acetone or anything like that. But beware, acetone could affect the finish where rubbing alcohol will not. And all I'm using is just cheap stuff from the Dollar Tree. It's just 50%. I don't want to go really any stronger than that, and it will not harm the finish. I've done it to every single one of my firearms, and I've never had an issue out of it. So let's go ahead. I'm going to pause here, and I'll bring you back in about a half hour. I'm going to go ahead and probably let it set and strip it down, and we'll get the brush and we'll start scrubbing some of these parts. Alright, we've let her soak for close to 25 minutes to a half hour here, and I'm going to go ahead, take the gun apart, and we're going to go ahead and scrub this. I'm just going to use a regular brush. And the alcohol is going to help break everything down. And just trying to loosen it up. I don't know if you can see, but there's already stuff coming out of here. And it's really simple. All you're doing is just using the rubbing alcohol to clean and degrease. Not much to it here, so I'm not going to waste too much time on showing you. But see if I can get it to focus here. You can see all the flakes and stuff, dirt flakes coming out of here. Ooh. Okay. And let me see if I can reel it in. You can see the ring of dirt already starting to appear. But like I said, I like the alcohol just because I found, one, it's cheap, two, it don't hurt, but it really does work really well. It's not going to hurt the polymer at all. It's not going to hurt anything, and it's just a lot cheaper alternative. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and let that set further. As I broke, try to help break some of that up. I'll get my brush out. I'm not going to bore you with that part. I'm going to get my brush out, run it through the barrel a couple times. I'm going to pull the firing pin out because I don't want that in part of with the FrogLube. And when we come back here, I will have the heat gun out, and we'll start adding some heat and adding some FrogLube. So hang on real quick. Okay, so we're back. Everything has been totally degreased using rubbing alcohol and hand dried and everything like that. So here's what we're going to do. I've got my hair dryer. Normally I don't have patience, so this is normally what I will do. I would just take the hair dryer like so. Going to heat the parts up just like that. I'm just going to turn it on and walk away and just let the hair dryer do its job. One of the nice things too is if there's any rubbing alcohol left over, it'll evaporate with the heat from the hair dryer. So go ahead and get this going here. About 5 minutes on the frame. I don't do too much heat on the frame. And yeah, let me reel that. After this is done, I'll reel in the slide part. Alright, now that the slide is good and hot, at least dried, I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, I'll normally set things up. I'll kind of do it in this manner, and just kind of set it up any way that I possibly can here. And I'll move it around so often, but I'll go ahead and start the heat on this. Get these good and dry, and we'll bring in the FrogLube next. All right, so all the parts are heated up. Now what you're going to need is a dedicated brush. This here is my FrogLube only brush. It's just a toothbrush. Got the Glock brush here that the only thing I use is FrogLube, so it is a dedicated FrogLube brush as well. Frame. Now here's how I do my frame. Okay, we'll set that off to the side. Well, actually there's the spring. So how I do it is I will take my brush, I take the liquid, put a couple drops on there, not a lot. A lot of guys, Yankee Marshall included, say you don't like the stuff. Well, if you listen to how they do it, and if you listen to the directions of FrogLube, and they're not the only ones to blame. Slip 2000 is another one. If you read the directions, they tell you to just like pound it into the sear assembly and all this and that. That's not recommended with any lube. So sometimes you got to go off your own judgment and your common sense. If you're a gun owner, you've been a gun owner, this is stuff that you just know that you just don't do. I mean, you just don't go pounding a bunch of gun oil and stuff down into your sear assembly and your hammer assembly or whatever the case may be. So that's it. Got it on there. I'm going to set it aside. What's left over on the brush, I did heat the spring up as well. I'm just going to put it on the spring here. Okay, that's all I got. That's all there is to it. Set that off to the side. Now, what gets the paste is the barrel and slide. So we'll go ahead and, or actually, inside the barrel gets the liquid. Not a lot, okay? And you gotta kind of do this quick because it will be hot. So I'm just going to get some on, like so, get it in there. That's it. Set it off to the side. Now, I'm done with the liquid. Now I got the paste. I recommend keeping your the FrogLube paste in the refrigerator. It just seems to last a whole lot longer. It helps you use less when you're doing this. And we're just going to apply a thin amount here. It's not a lot. You're not caking it on there. We're using our common sense here with it. Okay, I'm going to bring in a paper towel here, and just going to do the outside too, just to help season the outside, prevent from rust. I've seen a lot of these Taurus with this black finish on here get pretty rusty. Okay, and we're just going to hit everywhere except for in the, common sense. I'm not going to get anything in the channels here. I want this area dry. Right now my firing pin and extractor is still setting in the rubbing alcohol. I'm going to go clean those off and give those a chance to dry. And now this is what I do that's a little different than everyone else. Okay, so I'm going to set this. I'm actually just going to kind of put this back together like so. Okay, I'll go ahead and set the recoil spring in there. And it's going to kind of set the frame like that. And I'm going to bring in the heat again. And I'm going to start here and I'm just going to work its way down. Letting it set, walk away. Actually right now as this is doing this, I'm actually just going to go I'm just going to go and clean out my firing pin and all that stuff. So we will be back. Alright, so we're back. We've let the FrogLube set in and season, as they say. You can speed the process up by putting your parts into a refrigerator or on air conditioner vent or something like that to just help cool the metal down and help speed the process up. Off film, I forgot that I didn't do the barrel, so I just put some paste on the outside of the barrel. So now we are going to get started here, and you can see just how dirty. I mean, I clean it with rubbing alcohol. How well this FrogLube, it's not even wiped off. It's just been setting on top of there. So we're going to bring in the microfiber towel, which only gets used FrogLube, and we're just going to buff, and it's also going to clean and help get any of that extra dirt off that the FrogLube is going to help break up. Get the rails really good here. And like I said, this is all about common sense here. So I'm going to use the Q-tip, get down in these troublesome areas. I'm going to get down here in the sear just in case anything got down in there that I don't want any FrogLube caked. I mean, look. Alright. So, like I said, if you use common sense when applying this, you'll be good. And I can tell you from experience, you can take like a troublesome 22 that's like picky on ammo, and if you treat it with the FrogLube and then just basically leave it just like this, don't apply anymore, and run it dry, air quotes, but it's going to be lubricated from the seasoning process, and just clean and then wipe dry. I've seen it actually take troublesome guns and actually get them to run more reliable than what they had before. So we're going to go ahead and remove the recoil spring, barrel, I'm just going to buff the barrel off here. Then we can get a patch set up here. And just going to run it through a couple times through the barrel. It's like that's all I really needed to do. Just removed what was in there. But as you can see, you know, even though I cleaned it rubbing alcohol, FrogLube is still pulling out stuff. You can go ahead and just kind of buff off your recoil spring here. What's left on there is the liquid, so you don't have to worry about it solidifying here. And we're just going to buff all that paste off. Okay, I'm not going to bore you too much with that, but here again we're going to use common sense. Okay, and I'm going to go through just in case any of that FrogLube got down in here in these areas that I don't want it. Extractor, firing pin area. And this is a brand new gun. You see how dirty it is. Okay, and I'll go off film here and I'll finish this all up, and then I'll just show you how I set it up to get ready to go put the first shots through it. Alrighty, now that I've got the paste and everything all buffed off, essentially all I'm going to do is I'm going to do just like I normally do. Now, I transfer my FrogLube liquid into an old Remington bottle because it has a smaller beaker here to apply, because we don't want to use a lot. So I'm just going to put a drop in the rails like so. I'm going to put a drop right there. Okay, set that off. I'm going to use one drop on the barrel. Okay, just kind of buff it in. Just kind of take any excess that's on my finger, just kind of rub it in there. Okay. Just like that. I'm not going to do anything to the frame. Function test. My extractor and firing pin and all the units in the firing pin is dried using the rubbing alcohol. Now, you know, the major question that I had was, you know, after this, how do I do it? So I will just use, whenever I get done from the range, I'll just use some of the FrogLube on a brush, put some in the barrel, run a barrel brush through there, run a patch through it, using the FrogLube, using my brush to scrub any dirt. And if I have any like baked on dirt that's just like really hard, then I will bring in the paste and put it on there and let it set for a little while till it breaks it down. And that's it. That's how we use or apply and use FrogLube, using one of the major tools, and that is common sense. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this might have put a little insight on proper ways to apply the FrogLube. There's a lot of ways out there on YouTube, and the guys are just doing it all wrong, in my opinion. And if you use the term, you know, less is more, you'll have really good results. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, hit the thumbs up, share, and I hope this helped answer some of the questions for a lot of the guys that were asking. I just been kind of putting the video off, but I want to encourage you to be performance driven in life and demand greatness. Thanks for watching.